Why was there so much sex in this show? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Goldie and this is the Lazy Ballerina Club. So if you have no idea who I am or what this channel is about, I talk about all things ballet. And actually, in my video last week, I said that I was dedicating the entire month of January to giving you all of the ballet audition tips that I have learned along my professional ballet career journey. And I am still doing that, but this week I thought it would be fun to post an extra video. In today's video, I am going to be reviewing Tiny Pretty Things on Netflix as a professional ballet dancer. So if you're interested in hearing what I thought about this show and all of my opinions on this Tiny Pretty Things Netflix show, then keep on watching. And if you're interested in hearing more of my ballet audition tips in the following weeks in this ballet audition series, then make sure you're subscribed down below, like this video, and I guess we should just get into the review of Tiny Pretty Things. Okay, before we get into all of my thoughts and opinions about Tiny Pretty Things on Netflix, I think I need a coffee, and yeah, I need to just collect my thoughts before I just like go in on this show. So let's go get a coffee. I've honestly been going back and forth on whether I actually want to do this video or if I don't want to do this video, because I definitely have a lot of thoughts of my own. I mean, I am a professional ballet dancer. I have grown up in the ballet world, and I just feel like it's really difficult for any show or movie to actually capture what it's actually like as a ballet dancer. And while I have some positives, I definitely have some negatives as well, but I guess we should just get into it and I'll just stop talking. Where do I begin? Okay, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, Tiny Pretty Things is a new series over on Netflix. What's Netflix? Anyways, and then it's actually based off of the book Tiny Pretty Things. It's about a professional ballet school. Someone gets roofied and then gets pushed off of a building. She's in a coma, and then the whole entire ballet school is talking about this coma murder mystery type of thing. I think it's like a perfect mix of like old school Center Stage with like Pretty Little Liars, Gossip Girl, and they just brought two worlds and just meshed them together and wrapped it up in a really cringy little bow. And just a disclaimer, I did not read the book, and another disclaimer, I did not finish the series. I just couldn't. I binged the first couple of episodes and then it was just too cringy. It was just too cringy for me. But before I get into all of the negative feelings that I have for Tiny Pretty Things, I want to start with the positives. The first major positive that I took from watching Tiny Pretty Things was they actually hired ballet dancers. Typically when they are doing a ballet show or a ballet movie, they hire actors, and then either the actors attempt to do ballet and it turns out terrible and we all can tell, or those actors have stunt doubles and they're not actually dancing and the stunt double does all the dancing for them. But in Tiny Pretty Things, they actually hired real ballet dancers, which I really appreciated. I think it was so great to actually see ballet dancers on the screen on Netflix, and it gave all of those dancers an amazing opportunity to actually get hired to do what they do best. With that positive comes like a double-edged sword negative. Since they hired ballet dancers for this show, they're obviously ballet dancers. They are not actors or actresses, or they're not to the level of actors and actresses that you would typically see starring in a Netflix series. While I appreciated the dancing, the acting was a little rough around the edges. Don't get me wrong, I think it is so difficult to try to be a successful ballet dancer and also train to be an actor and actress. You kind of have to pick your poison, and if you want to become a ballet dancer, you have to do strictly that, and vice versa for actors and actresses. So while the dancing was great, loved it, the acting just gave the whole entire show more of like an amateur vibe, to say the nicest way. But I do appreciate that they actually found real dancers. But the main characters were ballet dancers, but some of those extras that they found were a little funky. A few of them doing some random things in the back of the scene or in class, like warming up before a class. Another positive that I really appreciated that the writers focused on was the storyline of eating disorders in ballet. In the ballet world, eating disorders is such a prominent discussion with ballet dancers at any age. There's anorexia, there's bulimia, and it's a very serious issue that a lot of ballet dancers struggle with, and typically the conversation surrounds women struggling with eating disorders. They actually had a male character struggling with an eating disorder, and it's something that no one really talks about, but it is such an issue in our ballet world. And I just thought that was a really, really cool take on taking an issue that a lot of dancers struggle with and shining a different light and focusing on the male perspective of that same disorder that so many male dancers struggle with but never talk about. As cringy as it all was, I think they did a pretty good job about all of the lingo and the vocabulary and everything that comes with ballet. I mean, it's just so difficult to really understand the way we speak to each other, but for the most part, it was pretty good. I give it like a B+ when it comes to like ballet vocab. I'm trying to think of my other positives before I go into my negatives, but I just gave you a lot. I just gave you a lot of positives. Another thing, I did make it this far to see Miss Tyler Peck make her appearance in Tiny Pretty Things. And okay, Tyler Peck is a beautiful dancer. She is stunning. She is so strong. She is so talented, amazing, love it. But again, like I said in the beginning of the video, she's a ballet dancer. She is not a trained actress. And who am I to judge this hard? Because if I was asked to get onto a set and read lines and actually act, I would like shit myself, because I think that's actually my worst nightmare. But Miss Tyler Peck, she did her job well. Her little dance ditty that she got to do was fun, but I just feel like all of these dancers like walk around in their like dancer posture and like dancer gestures. So like when they're like asked to act, it feels like they're like doing pantomime with the other characters. There's something like unnatural about it. Now that I gave my positives, I feel like I can get into the negatives. The first negative that I want to talk about in this review is why was there so much sex in this show? Coming from a person that has actually been to ballet boarding school in a professional environment, I've been in a company before, I've been in a year-round program, I've seen it all, and I mean, if you put any teenager in a dorm or an apartment away from their family with other teenagers with no supervision, there's gonna be some sex. There's gonna be some people hooking up in a random apartment or a random dorm room. But I mean, this show, they were always naked. They were always naked. And the weirdest part about all of it is that they weren't only having sex and they weren't only naked and like hooking up or whatever they were doing, but they were talking about rehearsal and casting and like class and choreographers while they were having sex. Never in my life have I talked about rehearsal or casting or whatever, anything having to do with ballet, while doing the dirty. It just doesn't mix. So that was one thing that I was like, oh, I can't. This is too much. But they did all have like gorgeous bodies, so that was good. Which leads me to my next this is actually a fun side note. My friend Tori was actually in Tiny Pretty Things. She was the principal dancer that they all wanted to be like and they all were inspired by and looked up to. It's actually pretty appropriate because Tori and I danced together at my home studio in Los Angeles. She was always the one that I looked up to when I was in a studio, so I loved that for her. She looked absolutely beautiful. Wow, she looked beautiful. Tori, I feel like I saw every inch of your body on that screen. But again, if I had her body, I would be naked too. Another thing that really rubbed me the wrong way, especially in this day and age in the ballet world, was the relationships between the artistic staff and the students, specifically the choreographer. I get it, they were trying to do this thing with like the big mean choreographer and the innocent and like helpless students that would do anything for the role. While we have some pretty rough choreographers in the dance world and people that I've worked with that really have rubbed me the wrong way, never in my life as a professional ballet dancer have I seen a choreographer treat dancers the way that the choreographer in the show treated these dancers. And I've never seen dancers talk to a choreographer the way that these dancers did in the show as well. And I get it, it's a Netflix show, it has to be dramatic, but it just doesn't happen. Another thing that I didn't really love about the show was it was actually Bette's character. She was taking painkillers for her injury, and then there was that weird like dream-like sequence that she like opened the plate and it was like a plate full of like painkillers. This is exactly why when anyone ever meets a ballet dancer in real life and they immediately think they're crazy, this is why. This is the reason why whenever I meet someone, their first question for me is, are you crazy like Black Swan or the ballet shows that they see? I blame all of these psycho ballet shows that make this world look like we are all drug addicts, we all have eating disorders, and we're all sleeping with every single person in our company and on the artistic staff. With all of these negatives that I just listed off, I do realize this is an entertaining show on Netflix and it's not supposed to be this like accurate depiction of what the ballet world actually is like, but still, there are just some things that I just like couldn't deal with. Like all of like the voiceovers like in between the scenes where they're just like, the point shoe is like the most important thing, and if you're on your leg then your whole world is aligned in the universe, and like what, you know what I'm talking about, those like weird voiceovers in between the scenes. From an unbiased opinion and from an outsider random person watching this show without any ballet knowledge, I guess you can say it was fine, it was good, and we've been in quarantine for about 12 years at this point, so I would watch anything that Netflix put on, but I wouldn't watch it again. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. And while the dancers were beautiful and my friend Tori was gorgeous and talented, it was just a little too corny for me, and that's just my opinion. I guess that's the tea on Tiny Pretty Things. So I guess that is the end of my Tiny Pretty Things review. I hope you enjoyed it. These are just my opinions. It's just how I feel, and coming from a person that has lived the ballet world and the ballet lifestyle, I just like couldn't relate to all of the craziness. I hope you enjoyed this review. Go subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, like this video, and like I said in the beginning of the video, I am still dedicating the entire month of January to give you all of my ballet audition tips, whether it's how to do your hair for auditions, what to wear, how to be confident in a Zoom audition, whatever you need help with, I am here. And make sure you are subscribed down below so you don't miss any of those videos coming soon in the ballet audition series. I guess that is it, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye guys.